Well, good morning folks, and welcome to day 5 and the last day. Just making our way out of the Hague back towards the coast and then down towards the Hook of Holland, just because we can and quite fancy seeing it for myself. And then we're going to go inland, cross a few waterways and back round to the ferry terminal. So my ferry leaves at 8:30 tonight. Probably need to be there by about 5:30, 6, just to make sure it's a stress-free check-in. And yeah, it looks like I've got plenty of time. It's an absolute scorcher today, probably the hottest day of the week, up to about 33, 34 degrees. So gonna take it easy, lots of stops, and as ever, if we come across anything vaguely interesting, or even things that aren't vaguely interesting, I'll get the GoPro out and yeah, come along for the ride. Here's where we are. As I've probably mentioned on every single video this week, the usual absolutely amazeballs cycleways. How am I going to go back to the Pennines? I don't know.
No retirement plan, don't know if I'll make it till then, 'cause I made a mess and I don't have shit to my name. Don't wanna give up, don't know if I do what I love, to make this world better than when it came. Oh, heaven on earth, we could have heaven on earth if we wanted to.
Well folks, I cycled right past this and then stopped and looked at the map. So just returning to show you the Hook of Holland. There's a tram stop right here, so there's just tons of people pouring off the trams, and the beach is literally 50 meters away. Pretty cool. I don't know if I'll see the Eurovella sign or where it is, but yeah. I think it's the end of Eurovella 15, or the start, depending which way you're doing it. And I'm actually just leaving, my ferry's just leaving, I think a stone's throw over that way, but I've got to go probably about 10 miles inland and then work my way back round. But first thing I'm going to do is get out of this sun. It's an absolute bloody scorcher. I don't think I'm going to stop around here. It's a bit like the place yesterday on the beach, not the greatest place to leave a bike. So I'm going to go into, I think there's a sort of Hook of Holland Old Town maybe, a couple of miles down the road, and then we'll yeah, we'll get a cold drink and spot lunch. Oh, scorcher. Well, that little cafe stop came at just the right time, and 40 minutes in the shade was such a relief. And a nice club sandwich and a cold beer. That looks like the Stenner Ferry on this side of the waterway, but we've got to track about 6 or 7 miles kind of inland and then do a U-turn effectively across the waterway, I think on a little ferry, and then track back to the P&O Terminal. Not sure how much more I'm going to film here, but I will come back and share with you a few reflections on these last 5 days cycling, and the good, the bad and the ugly. But yeah, for now 34 degrees, scorching, and just tracking around to the end of the ride. Time flies. Well folks, I just picked up the weird dystopian wall thing behind me, and I remember that from day one, just leaving the ferry, and I guess that means we're back on the same road that I cycled up away from the ferry on, when was it? Tuesday morning. What now? Diversions. Yeah, just a few miles I think, back down along the waterways, and what time is it? Nearly 4 o'clock, so just about the right time to check in and get on the ferry, find my cabin and kind of decompress and cool down. It is absolutely baking hot, and if I'm being totally honest, that block headwind few miles back there slightly broke me. Well, I got an absolute bastard block headwind here. This is a soul destroying section. It's just straight as an arrow. You can probably see the wind turbine. Might give you some indication of the headwind. It's so hot as well, it's just a fan of it in the face. I'm trying to console myself with the fact that it's only, I hope, for about half an hour, and then I'll pick this up as a tailwind coming back on the other side there. Wow, a little sting in the tail, the very last section. Whoa man, it's tough. Come on legs, come on legs. And yeah, I've had enough sunshine for a lifetime this week. I really can't complain, I shouldn't complain, but yeah, looking forward to getting out of the sun and getting into the shade. But it's been a fantastic week, what can I say, just some of the most relaxed, chilled cycling I think I've ever done on a tour. I've kept the mileage really sensible these 5 days, so I think the longest day was that first day, with the detour about 45 miles, and then all the other days have been like low 30s, which doesn't sound like a lot, but you know, you're on a touring bike, you're carrying more weight, you've got the packing, unpacking, the checking in, the checking out, all the logistics, so it's surprising how the day just disappears even with relatively modest mileage. I mean, given the short days, I've been finishing really early, sort of mid-afternoon, and it's been so nice to kind of get checked in, have a little doze. Yes, I do sound like an old man. No apologies. And then kind of enjoy mooching around, having a little walk and finding a nice spot to have a meal and a beer in the evening. So yeah, really nice. And I just wish I had more time, I had more days to spend over here, but unfortunately it's back to the grind on Monday, and I'll certainly be dreaming about coming back to the continent and doing some more touring cycling. The bike has been absolutely flawless, as I was hoping, as I was expecting. Hasn't skipped a beat, and Hasn't needed any maintenance or any adjustments whatsoever. Super comfortable. The Brook saddle is pretty much there, I think, in terms of it being broken in. I've had no discomfort whatsoever, and it's been so nice just to wear normal hiking shorts and you know, trail running shoes and jump off the bike and walk around, and you're not sort of then wearing the wrong gear to be mooching around, walking around. So yeah, I've really enjoyed being on the bike this week, and it's been great. There's been some tough sections which I probably haven't filmed that much, but you know, there's certainly some rough with the smooth, I think, and today was that bloody block headwind. I remember the few miles getting into Antwerp were pretty boring, if I'm being honest. Not very interesting cycling. Again, headwind, just head down and kind of get them done. Don't think I filmed too much of that for obvious reasons. Getting into Antwerp itself was, I think I arrived into the city through a pretty downtrodden, rough, slightly dodgy area, and my first impressions were pretty bad, to be honest. But as I got more into the centre, and obviously more then into the old town, and got a bit of a better sense of the whole city, it just went up and up and up in my estimation, and I left that place really thinking it was a fantastic and beautiful city in Belgium. But yeah, not all kind of rainbows and unicorns, definitely. And you know, even though the mileage has been modest, you still got to do it. You still got to push the pedals. And even though Holland's flat, it does mean the headwind is pretty severe at times. It hasn't been too bad this week, but I've certainly experienced one or two sections where the headwind's really been pushing against me. It's flat, but there are a few hills, and certainly some of that coastal riding can be quite undulating and can kind of catch you out. So you know, it's cycling sort of easy, but day after day after day cycling is quite difficult. Not difficult, what can I say? You need a certain amount of resilience and comfort on the bike, and what's the word, conditioning, I suppose, to not just have a sufferfest day after day. The other thing I've experienced this week, which is really quite new to me, is you know, a couple of times feeling quite lonely, and I'll be honest, it's kind of caught me out a little bit. It's not something I was expecting at all. Of course, I've been alone for the week, you know, bar conversations here and there and all that sort of stuff, but I think there's a difference between being alone and being lonely, and I don't get a lot of me time, and I really cherish it and look forward to it and really enjoy time that I spend on my own. For me, it's a great chance to sort of reset, and I've never really, on all the kind of solo bike tours that I've done in recent times, I've never felt like I was lonely, or it's never occurred to me. But you know, I'd say 2 or 3 times, particularly in the evenings, like sort of sitting on your own and having dinner with lots of people around you, chatting away and all the rest of it. I had a few kind of pangs of feeling quite sorry for myself, if I'm being honest, and I was sort of trying to think the other morning, like, I don't get that, because in the UK I've been in that situation on on bike trips and never had the same feeling. But I think maybe it's the language barrier, and you know, Holland, if you speak English to anybody, they reply in absolutely perfect English back to you. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. But that being said, you don't hear well, you do hear bits of English around you, but you know, it's not like sitting somewhere in England where you might overhear a bit of a conversation and you might, you know, chip in and strike up a conversation with somebody, and away you go. So there hasn't really been any of that, and I think that's what's done it. It's the sort of language barrier that's just heightened that feeling of aloneness, and I think for me it's probably led to, you know, a couple of times feeling quite lonely. So I probably need to give that a bit of thought, and if I do a longer trip in Europe, sort of figure out how I'm gonna sort of mitigate that, because I don't want to go on a long trip and just feel sorry for myself. I want to be enjoying it. And as I said, it's never happened to me before in the UK, but yeah, I'll be honest, it's something that I've had to sort of deal with this week in Holland and Belgium. Yeah, while I'm in slightly grumbly mode and thinking about the negatives of this trip, which overwhelmingly has been absolutely awesome, by the way, the other slight downside has been, I guess, the cost. I mean, it's if I factor in the train tickets, ferry tickets, hotel, eating like pretty well every night, and not, you know, not thinking about the prices for where I stop or anything. So, you know, I've not been sticking to a budget or anything, but I mean, that being said, it's way more expensive than if I'd have gone off bikepacking in the UK. I mean, this week wild camping would have been amazing. The ground would have been really dry, and you know, the weather would have been great. So I could have probably, for I don't know, a tenth of the cost perhaps, done a nice week out in the sticks in the UK and not felt those pangs of loneliness that I've just been talking about either. So yeah, last little negative, I suppose, is just factoring in the cost. And I really suspect the next time I come across to Europe, I'll have the tent with me, and I'll be doing a longer trip on a bit of a tighter budget. But this has been great as a little test, you know, dipping a toe in the water, figuring out the logistics. I'm really glad I took a train just to get that experience of continental international travel, if you like, on those Eurocity direct trains, which are fantastic and actually quite simple to use as a cyclist. So I think all the kind of pieces are in place now for trying to clear a bit more time and do something a little bit more ambitious and get into their Alps down Austria, Germany, Switzerland, Italy way. I think that would maybe be the next kind of trip I consider over this way. Whew.
Well, good morning, and it was a bit of a fitful night's sleep on the ferry. Just about to go down and grab some breakfast, but I wanted to come on for one last time and say thank you so much for following along. If you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate every single one of you that follows along and supports the channel. Just stay safe out there, take care of yourselves, and happy cycling, and I'll see you out on the roads or the ferries very soon. Bye.